What's up, guys? Over the last couple of days, I've been thinking about how to make a video and what the purpose of it would be to talk about all the things that have been happening in our sport recently with the deaths of Sean Roden at 46 years old. Callie Muscle just had a heart attack. Deaths of other bodybuilders, Peterson, of course, John Meadows. The list goes on. And these guys are young, in their 40s. And I don't want to speculate on what they did or did not do. That's not my job. My job, hopefully with this video, is to kind of help you understand that you don't need the massive abuse that's going on, and that, bodybuilding already is not a safe sport. Whether you're a natural athlete or a non-natural athlete, if you're a natural athlete, with restricting water, restricting food, or eating tons of food, and then putting on hoodies and sweatpants and going in the sauna and doing jumping jacks, like all of these things are very unhealthy, right? So don't let anyone tell you that this is a healthy sport, but there are safer ways to go about reaching an end goal. That doesn't mean you can never compete in bodybuilding again. You just have to be smart. Your body will give you some signals if something's going on. You just have to pay attention. I'll give you two examples. One, monitor the color of your urine always. Okay, why? Well, your urine should be relatively clear yellow if you're just expelling, day-to-day waste, right? But if it starts to turn darker, then a couple things are going on. It could be a kidney thing. It could be a protein kinase thing. It could be a C-reactive protein. It could be your body breaking down muscle tissue. There's a lot of things going on that it indicate, but only a doctor and lab work will tell you. So that's just one thing. Another thing, and I read this in the article about Callie Muscle, is that he said that he noticed he had edema, which is fluid buildup by his feet, which is usually indicative of your heart not working properly. So these are two simple things you can monitor yourself and see that, hey, something's wrong. I need to cut something out, cut back, and go to a doctor. So what I really want to talk about is when you're younger, you feel that you're invincible and nothing can bring you down. Everybody who's ever competed at a young age knows this feeling. Or even if they haven't, even if they're just a gym rat who's 25 years old and thinks nothing can take him down, and he's 230 pounds ripped, whatever it is. You can be taken down, but sometimes it's a longer process. I now have reached the age of 40, where I look at things a lot differently than I did when I was in my mid-20s. And so for these guys to have passed away or have had major heart attacks in their mid-40s is very scary to me, considering that's only a few years away. And I know for a fact that I don't do any kind of drugs close to the level of a pro bodybuilder or anything like that. So the fact that there's a lot of people out there that do, that are very young and push the envelope all the time, it's just scary. Rich Piana, another guy, passed away. Huge bodybuilder, great guy, loved his fans, would stay in line for hours to talk to them. He and I didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and from my perspective, he puts out this massive, protocol and says, this is what I'm doing, and of course he puts it on YouTube and everything to get everyone watching it. And it may work for him, who's been doing gear for X amount of years, and he knows what his body can take, can't take, whatever. But there's some 20-year-old, 18-year-old kid that's like, man, I'm gonna do the Rich Piana cycle, and does it, and gets really fucked up because of it. And so you really need to learn how to decipher what's real and what's not, and how could you find on your own a source to learn information about these drugs and how to do things safely, and how to watch out for the negative side effects that will happen. You know, a lot of these things you don't notice right away. You notice over time, which is scary, which is why you have to go see a doctor regularly, once a year checkup. If you're a competing athlete, you need at least a twice a year checkup, every 6 months, and then you should also be getting blood work done regularly. If you're a competing athlete, you need to pick a coach, right? You need to pick a coach that knows what the fuck he's talking about and is smart and understands that you don't just win trophies with gear. You win it with hard work and with diet and with training and all the other aspects there. Now, some coaches are clueless, is the word I was looking for, about how things work. I've spoken to many different coaches that are top guys that you would think know what they're talking about based on their reputation alone, and they really don't. They have no clue why they put certain things together. They have no clue why, what the half-life of this is versus that, and how these compounds work together or don't work together. There's just a lot of clueless coaches out there that just know that if I push hard, the person's going to grow, and then they're going to eventually do a show and win or not win or whatever, and just get a big physique, and then whatever they want to do with it. If they want to do social media, then social media puts a ton of pressure on you to look a certain way, right? It is impossible, except for the very top 1% of guys, to walk around stage ready all the time. It's just something that can't be done, and you have to accept that. There's a lot of pressure on people with their Instagram handles and all their social media content, where they have to look their best for this video. We're training legs today, we're training chest today. Everything's got to be precisely pumped up and ripped and popped, and everything has to look good. And sometimes this is not the case. Sometimes you are not full of blood and gore. Sometimes your body fat isn't 6%. Sometimes it's 8. Sometimes it's 12. Sometimes it's 15 when you're trying to grow. You can't put that internal pressure on you or have some external pressure from whether it's social media pays your bills or whatever the case is. You can't have that dictate how you put things inside your body. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not right. There are guys out there that know what they're talking about. There are guys that have researched this or have gone to school for it, or Dante Trudell, a major resource for anybody. Anytime he talks, I always listen to whatever he says. And then he and I have a good relationship, so I can ask him questions and stuff like that. But anytime somebody that you truly respect talks about a topic and that's, like this, listen to them and ask questions. There are no dumb questions, okay? If you don't ask the question and it happens, that's on you. That's your fault for not asking the question, because you were scared, you didn't want to look dumb in front of people, whatever the case is. There are no dumb questions. Ask questions. That's how you learn. That's how you save lives, okay? Asking questions. Something has to give, guys. Something has to stop. We can't just have guys passing away at young ages who are still heroes of our sport and still competing. The health problems have to stop. There needs to be, whether it's implementing a drug testing with the IFBB, which personally I don't see how it's worked. They've done in the past. Something has to be done to curb this excessive use, okay? If you are 200-pound male competitor and you've never taken anything before, you can grow off of a very, very, very low dose. You don't need the 500, 700,000 milligram a week of whatever to grow. You don't need it, especially when you're young, and especially when it's your first time or your second time. Remember, you can always increase slightly. Decreasing is the hard thing to do. So if you've done you've ran a protocol where you've started out at 400 a week of something, it's going to be hard to go back to 300 or 200 and get the same results. But if you start at 200 or 250 and then you get something, and then you go to 300 or 350 and you get something else, that's a lot safer because you're using less amounts of the substance that can be harming your body. There's just, I mean, with John passing, that was such a big deal because John's so smart, and John knew his shit, and, you know, he got dealt a raw hand genetically, and then, you know, was pushed as a competitor to be a certain way and do certain shows, which it's just not healthy. And unfortunately, something had to give. And then, you know, Dallas McCarver. I was on a panel when we talked about Dallas McCarver and his autopsy and how big his heart was. Guys, his heart was, I want to say something like 3 times the size of what your normal heart should be. Something stupid. Like, your enlarged heart is very bad for you. Very bad for you. They get less blood flow. It takes more energy to pump blood through your left ventricle and pump blood through your body and go back to your heart, the bigger your heart is. It sounds counterintuitive, but your heart is working harder the bigger it is. So what you need to do is do a lot of cardiovascular things to help control your heart size, control your heart rate, make it easier for your body to breathe and pump out blood. Do all of these things that can help mitigate sides. Never do protocols where you're not doing cardio at all. That's just it. There's no reason not to. Even if you're the leanest guy in the world, even if you don't gain body fat, I'm just going to do this because I want to put on 20 pounds, whatever. Doing cardio can only help you. It'll increase your appetite, so eat more. It will make your cardiovascular system more healthy. There's other things you could do to help with your body staying as healthy as you possibly can be during these situations. But too many guys passing away at too young of ages, and I think something has to be done. I wish more guys are going to speak up about it. Take me for what I am. Some of you guys know me and trust me. Some of you guys don't. But I do know what I'm talking about most of the time. If I don't know, I have people that I trust, that I know, like a Dante, used to be a John Meadows. But make sure when you're vetting out a coach, listen to what he's telling his other athletes to do. See what he tells you need to do. See reviews on this person. Like, kind of get a glimpse of what you're getting into, because just because he tells you to do something doesn't mean you need to. I mean, you're paying him for his or her expertise, right? But if he's telling you to put 500 of this and 1,000 of this and 1,200 of this, stop and say, hold on, and just take a step back and say, I'm not doing that. I'm cutting in half. We'll see what happens. Like, you don't have to do exactly what your coach says. That's, don't feel pressured to. Everybody wants to win. Everyone wants to look great. We're trending in that direction where guys just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can only do it for so long before something bad happens, guys. It's just how it is. Your bodies, your organs are not meant to, we're not meant to walk around at 400 pounds anymore. Our bodies are not meant to carry this much muscle. We don't use it. We don't need it anymore. We're not hunters and gatherers anymore. Most of us have sedentary jobs, and we work out for fun because it's a stress relief, and we like to build muscle and like how it looks, but we don't need it. It just stresses your body out. So all that stress, that extra weight, it affects your breathing, it affects your circulatory system, it affects your cardiovascular system, it affects everything. It truly does. About, what was this, 2002, 2003, I was in Orlando for undergrad at UCF. And a buddy of mine was hanging out with Greg Kovacs. And Greg Kovacs, if you don't know who that was, is another guy who was 6'5", 400-pound monster, huge, Canadian guy, world's strongest bodybuilder. He was just massive and ripped. And then seeing him in public, to maintain that weight, you have to eat so much food. So as I watched him with my buddy, they stopped to get hot dogs at a hot dog grill place. This is 4 in the morning or something, and he pounds 10 hot dogs like it's nothing. Like these 10 long jumbo franks to get the calories in. Now we all know that that's not great food for you, but stop and think for a second. Do you want to be force feeding yourself because you're not hungry? I remember force feeding myself to get calories in, and you feel uncomfortable as shit. You feel tired. You can't train. But in order just to keep your mass on, you're force feeding yourself. You don't need, it's just unhealthy. All of that stuff is unhealthy. There's got to be a better way to do this. Guys, think with your heads. Reach out to people that you know and trust. Vet your coaches. Reach out to guys that have been in the industry a long time that have good track records. Guys that bring in people healthy. Make sure your coach asks for blood work. If your coach doesn't ask for blood work, tell your coach to piss off, okay? Your coach needs to ask for blood work every single time you do anything. It's really the only way to monitor what's going on. So go to the doctor, have your blood work done routinely, at least twice a year physical. And if you're feeling sick, go to the doctor. If you remember a couple of years ago, I came back from Australia and I was close to 240. I was one of the biggest, it was the biggest I've ever been. I was in shape. I was lifting heavy. And then all of a sudden, I started feeling really, really weak. Couldn't get out of bed weak, super weak. And for about 8 or 9 days, it went on like this. And then my urine was really dark. And I started looking at it and seeing, okay, maybe I'm dehydrated, got to drink more. Didn't help. And then finally, my wife said, we got to go to the doctor. And she took me to a doctor, and that doctor admitted me right away into the hospital, and I had rhabdomyositis, which is the breaking down of muscle tissue. So all my urine was dark because my body was just breaking down muscle tissue just because it was done. It had reached its point of overtraining, anything else, like cardio, everything that I was doing, just overtraining. So it reacts by breaking down muscles. So anyways, guys, I hope that if you're a younger competitor, this kind of is taken a little bit more seriously. If you're an older competitor, this should be very serious to you. Like I said, I'm 40. Sean Roden literally just passed at 46. That's very scary to me as far as that could have been, that's my age bracket right there. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of health risks associated with bodybuilding and fitness industry. And that if you don't take them seriously, they can cause extreme bouts of, ultimately death, but can cause extreme harm to your body, your organ failure. You hear about guys that had kidney failure or liver failure or heart failure, building up plaque because your body can't pump out enough blood and it clogs arteries, and it's just, when is enough enough? That's kind of it, guys. If you have anything to add, please comment below. It's been a sad couple days to see some of your guys pass away. Hopefully, even if you just listen to this for a moment, it has some type of lasting memory on you where if you go to do something, you'll remember I said something, or my video made you call your coach or your friend, like, hey, can we talk about what I'm doing? That's really all I can ask for. Guys, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Gorilla Chemist.